It's more than just steel and gears. It pulls you in and doesn't let go.
Okay. Hello, we are here with Johnson Riggs. Welcome, author of Pandemonia, a novel. And he is here to talk about his awesome piece on Substack about parenting, something on everybody's mind. He wrote it last year, but I think right now it's a great time to talk about it because it certainly is for me, because my children are now 1 and 4. And so I'm really getting into the parenting thing now. And more and more you see these topics coming up. I think this is just an interesting lead in, and this piece is really, really good. Extremely well written, extremely comprehensive. And it focuses on this concept. It's called Make Your Children Hard to Kill. Great name. You write under Centaur Write Satire on Substack, which is like a Eminem lyric or something, and it's called "Make Your Children Hard to Kill." So what is this book about, or sorry, this article about, and what do you have to say about about parenting in today's world?
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having me, Isaac, and Johnson Riggs. You can find me on Substack, Centaur Write Satire. It's more fun to write than to say, I suppose. It's a bit of a mouthful.
It is like an Eminem lyric, though, because it's like, you know how Eminem is famous for rhyming stuff that doesn't rhyme?
Yeah.
And it's like Centaur Write Satire. It's cool because it's also it's like you have two like symbolic creatures in it, like the centaur and the satyr, right? It's like, or is satyr just means kind of like a Lothario? Cool.
Yeah, I guess it's layered. So came up with the handle because I don't use AI to write anything, but I do use it to manage by exception with my writing, especially with comedy stuff. A lot of what I write, I try to be humorous with. And my bellwether for working with AI is if it says something's funny, do the opposite of it. But it's a great line editor. It's a great, catching the extra word you put in there, punctuation, that type of stuff.
Right,
so,
yeah.
In digital parlance these days, a centaur is a technologically enabled human being. I like to write, obviously. And then the image of a satyr, I have a perennial Halloween costume of goat legs, which just appeals to kind of my sensibilities, but also satyr, satire, it's kind of a play on words. So a lot of the other stuff I write is a little bit less serious than the topic of parenting, which I take pretty seriously. But a lot of the other stuff I write is pure shit postery. Just something to blow off steam.
Nice.
But yeah,
you want to hear something funny about satyrs?
I do.
So I went to a Jungian therapist once. You ever heard of these Jungian therapists? So Jungian therapists, I don't know what they're fucking supposed to be, but for some reason I got it in my head that it would be a good idea to see a Jungian therapist. And she was actually really cool. But she, the whole thing is archetypes and understanding yourself via archetypes. And the first thing I asked her was, which archetype am I? And of course she goes like, okay, this doesn't work that way, like it's not like one, it's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, but like, give me one. Like, what's your opinion? What do you think? Which one do you think I am? And she had this satyr goat, half man, half goat, Pan, right? Pan, the goat man, the horny goat man.
Yeah.
She had that like a statue of it among other statues in the corner, and she was like, "Yeah, you're basically a Pan. You're a satyr. You're a Pan. You're like a horny woods nymph who's just like raping everything that comes near."
Well, look, you got the Hawaiian shirt
I was
on.
like, wow, okay. I really didn't expect that at all, and I was like, oh, interesting that's what you think. Anyway,
that's
so
great.
I'm right there with you with being a satyr.
Yeah, you got to choose your character, I suppose.
Right.
Do you have a spirit animal?
My spirit animal, I think, is a coyote. Right? I feel a great deal of kinship to coyotes.
That's awesome. I grew up out west, and
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's great. It weighs very heavily in like a lot of Native Americanness. Um, but yeah, I grew up in Reno, so
Oh, wow.
I would say my animal avatar is the bighorn sheep.
Oh, also a Western,
Oh yeah,
a Western thing. Yeah,
oh yeah,
nice.
big time.
Yeah,
So
cool.
yeah,
Why are you a bighorn sheep?
sure-footed, big
Wow,
horns.
nice.
Enjoys high places.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Enjoys high places.
yeah.
Nice. What does that mean? What's the meaning of that? Okay, cool, man. Well, great. All right. So tell us about parenting.
Oh yeah, okay. So back on the ranch. So yeah, I have young kids too. They're 4 and 6. So the 1 to 4 age range you find yourself in, that's definitely a unique set of challenges. Um, I feel at this age, like it's really cool to be an active dad and you know be part of sports and wrestle with my kids and all the cool classic dad stuff. Um, One of the most insidious, and by insidious, I don't mean evil, it's just kind of all permeating, right? Is this concept of the mommy blog or the mommy influencer. And, my wife's like many millennial women, and she's an educator by background and has a pretty darn good velvet glove with the kids. And this concept of gentle parenting kept popping up in the feed. And I started interrogating it versus other historical parenting concepts. And one of the things that I sort of stumbled across is, again, I suppose it's an archetype of people trying to atone for their own parents' mistakes in their parenting style. But it's sort of culminated in America with this very squishy sort of concept around feelings are kind of the ultimate arbiter of any scenario. And if you don't acknowledge and sort of tai chi your way through those feelings with your kids, then they're going to be more mentally unstable. They're going to be prone to depression and rumination. But what we're seeing now, especially if we look at like Jonathan Haidt and the Anxious Generation, 10 plus years of that kind of parenting style have led to pretty poor measurable mental health from a lot of the Zoomer generation, especially. So that's sort of where the thesis of this pops up. And I started comparing it to, okay, what do the Puritans think about their kids? What did the boomers think about their kids? What did people from antiquity do with their kids? What's the role of the father in this society that's kind of overwhelmed by a lot of feminist impulses towards child reading? And I back it up with some data there too.
Okay, so what is this? Your thesis, you're kind of going back and forth, so you're not totally taking a crap on gentle parenting. You're sort of saying, maybe there's something to it. One thing I was really drawn to in this piece is this acceptance and commitment therapy bit where it lays out, I don't even know really what that is, but it lays out like some sort of principles for life, which are number one, life is often painful. Number two, pain is usually growth and growth is good. Embrace the pain. Number three, when we avoid pain or attempt to outmaneuver it, we usually end up suffering, and with suffering manifesting in neuroses. Four, a person's ability to experience pleasure and be useful is proportionate to the amount of pain they can endure. And then five, that being said, be kind to yourself. So this approach to life, which I fully embrace, it's amazing actually reading this because it's like, this is like completely my perspective. I mean, maybe not number four exactly, but more or less, this is how I approach the world. So is this approach of like embracing pain and like life, the purpose of life is sort of getting through pain or turning pain into pleasure. Is that at odds with the concept of gentle parenting?
I don't think so necessarily, right? So ACT actually, I found it through a comedian. One of my favorite podcasts, at least a couple of years ago, was Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Matt McCusker, Shane Gillis, and people know who Shane Gillis is, obviously, right? It's like your classic washed out football star, bar bully archetype. But his co-host, Matt McCusker, is sort of a stoner bro, but gets into the realm of esotericism and Jungian psychology. And this popped up on their podcast, and it being 2020, I decided to investigate and try one of those therapists on for size. So yeah, the precepts are.
Wait, what did Matt and Shane say about ACT? Is it a therapy? Like, what is it? That's that's very interesting.
Actually, I still have the book in my desk here.
He's pulling out a gun. He's pulling out a gun, as that's what the sound is. No, okay. Get out of your mind and into your life by Stephen something.
I mean, everybody's got something like that in a secret drawer, I'm sure. But
dude, I find those books, those like self-help books, so much better than 95% of books. Like self-help books are kind of lame, but like actually, sometimes those books are like much better than like stupid. Oh, let me read your stupid book about. Oh, I'm such a disaffected artist. Self-help books are like kind of underrated, actually. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially if they're helpful, right?
Yeah.
And I've found some really interesting kind of non-fiction manuals here on Substack. One's called The Pillar of Wisdom by this ex-Manosphere guy, GLO.
I haven't heard of that one. Interesting.
Absolutely bonkers writing style. It's a beautiful book. Another one called The Cultured Thug Handbook, The Bushido of Bitcoin, and they're all sort of wrapped in a philosophy about some kind of modern concepts, whether it be dating strategy or fiscal strategy or politics or whatever. So anyway, I digress. We were talking about ACT, so acceptance and commitment therapy, kind of a mix of Stoicism, Buddhism, but yeah, it came up on Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast because Matt McCusker holds some sort of master's in social work or psychology, some sort of therapy background in addition to his comedy career, sort of just to see if he could do it. And this is one of the better modus operandi he's found of actually helping people enact
really
in their lives.
That's actually fascinating, and it's so fucking true, man. It's like the sooner that you accept that pain is good, the better. I think, It's like it took me so long to learn that, man. It took me so long to learn to like lean into the pain, you know? I was not born with that. I was raised pretty gentle parenting. I mean, if I'm probably a case example of gentle parenting. Yeah. So I didn't really have a lot of, I had to, self-discipline was entirely taught to myself with the help of Adderall later on in life, you know? I never really learned it as a kid. But again, I think that was totally the wrong approach. So, okay. So what is gentle parenting then? Like, what does it mean? Yeah. What is gentle parenting?
So yeah, let me give you an example, I suppose. The kid's having a tantrum, right? And they're throwing a fit, trying to get the damn shoes on to get out the door. You're already running late. Instead of saying, get your damn shoes on, picking them up, throw them into the car, it's, wow, I can tell you're feeling very upset right now, but this is what we have to do, right? So it's sort of take a breath. Again, it's very well-meaning Tai Chi, and it does work in certain scenarios. But also, I think it tends to lead to overemphasis on emotions. Like being able to identify your own emotions is great, and it's a great skill for young people to have. But I don't think that should be like the ultimate arbiter of everything, and it sort of detracts a little bit from parental authority, I would say, is the Achilles heel of it. More in vogue recently. I don't know where I first saw this first, but it's FAFO parenting. Right? Find out.
FAFO parenting.
FAFO, yeah.
That's like the opposite of gentle parenting.
Yeah, but also it's a little bit more gentle to help a kid understand immediate consequences rather than prolonging a tantrum or an undesirable behavior in the house. So, you know, the more you tell a kid to eat his vegetables or stop playing with their food, they're just going to keep doing it until they actually encounter a boundary, right? And the boundary doesn't have to be like a slap across the head, right? It just has to be some sort of consequence that they experience in the moment so they're not continually stretching that boundary. So that's what I found the limitation of gentle parenting to be, is that boundary can extend to infinity in some of those scenarios when, look, there's only so much time in the day.
Right. What do you mean exactly by that? What you're saying, they'll do it until they hit a boundary. So what kind of boundary in gentle parenting? Is there any boundary?
Yeah, that's what I find so squishy about it, right?
I'm still here, but my camera died, so I'm here.
That's all right. Yeah. You're still looking. There you are.
Yeah. Now I'm all bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sort of repetitive nature of, you know, trying to emotionally reason with a person who might not be fully capable of that versus here's an immediate cause and effect to stopping an undesired behavior. Put your shoes on. I can tell you're upset about your shoes. Let's take a breath with mommy, daddy, blah, blah, blah. Those cycles, I think, can go on for many minutes at a time, rather than if you don't get your shoes on, I'm putting them on for you and we're getting in the car. Like, they're different paths of resistance, and they're to be employed, I think, at different times, different strategies. But that's kind of where I get into, okay, what's the delineation of services between mother and father? And I feel that women are probably a little bit more better equipped to do gentle parenting. They're more emotionally in tune. Not that men aren't, but men are supposed to be virile, action-oriented creatures and teach their kids what the actions are, right? Mom's like the safe, cuddly space, and dad is the fun, adventurous space.
Right, yes. But isn't dad also the disciplinarian, and mom is like the boundless source of love?
Yeah, I think those are good. Once again, archetypes. So um, I have no problem putting my foot down, right? But how do I put this? I think part of being a disciplinarian is being expeditious about it. And sometime when you're ruminating on emotions with your kid in the bounds of a difficult thing or some sort of misstep behavior on the part of the kid, you don't want to prolong that with a long sort of lecture. Just want to say, okay, here's the consequence. Here's how we're moving on. Now let's move on together.
Hmm.
But I think
Yes.
discipline to be just should be quick, right?
Right. Yeah, it's with my wife, I noticed that she really thinks a lot about this stuff. Like she really like spends a lot of time thinking about like the children's emotions and like, what are they how are they reacting to this? And yeah, she worries a lot that it's like, oh, they're not going to understand this emotion, or they're not going to get what's happening here, and here's how we can, like with discipline. She's totally a gentle parent thing. So she always defers to the side of like, let's try to explain to them, why this doesn't work. And look, I want to explain to them also. I do believe in that. But I mean, she's more like, she thinks a lot about like they're not being able to understand X and Y, and so therefore discipline doesn't really like work in certain ways. Whereas my approach is, I don't know if you remember being a kid, and my daughter's so much like me in this way. I was never confused about what was going on. I always knew exactly what was going on. I was never like, I can't understand my emotions. Like I always felt completely like when something bad happens, I feel bad. When something good happens, I feel good. I had a phase when I was a kid where I had really super bad OCD, where I thought like my parents were going to die, and so I like would tie my shoes in the hallway at a certain time. That luckily that totally went away, but it was definitely like clinical OCD. So I did have a period of that happening, and it's like I had a hard time letting it go. I don't remember how I even got through that, but so I get that there's like weird mental impressions as a kid, but I never personally worry about my children not understanding discipline. Like for me, it's pretty simple. If they do something bad, they either get yelled at or I take something away from them, right? I mean, I'm not, I'm not going to hit my kids. I don't really want to hit them. I don't really believe in like, I also have girls. If I had a boy, maybe, I mean, also they're so young, so it's a bit, I mean, like later on.
You
What?
want to tune that kid up at some point.
Really?
I haven't, right? But sometimes
How old are yours? How old are
they're
your
4 and
boys?
6.
4 and 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're right in the thick of it.
Yep.
So yeah, what's that like?
It's really cool. I think maybe my oldest was 2 at the time, and I shared with my wife, like, I didn't think I'd enjoy being a father this much. So it does, it's cliche, but it does change you. And
Totally.
if you think you're ready, you're not. And if you think you know what the expectations are, you don't. And that's one of the best parts about it.
And you also don't realize how much you imprint them. Like your behavior has a drastic effect on who they are and like how they behave. Like you really have a huge influence on them. Like and they're so built around you and how you interact with them. My daughter, again, I'm kind of a guy who I really don't like being told what to do. And I really do. the societal pressure it makes me disgusted. So this whole thing of like, I don't even really smoke, right? But every now and then I'll have a cigarette. So at my birthday party, like months ago, we had it in this penthouse. You know, we have a bunch of based people around here, so we all kind of like have this movable feast thing. And my daughter was there. I wanted her at my birthday party. I wanted her to say hi to everybody. And, you know, she's really smart. She totally understands what's going on. And I smoked a cigarette at my birthday party. And she saw me smoking the cigarette. And of course, everybody's like, oh, she's going to see you smoking a cigarette. Like, this is the fucking end of the world. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, whatever. You know, like, shut the fuck up. People have smoked cigarettes for fucking millennia. Like, I can't smoke a cigarette for my daughter. Like, but last night, this is like 6 months later, she is like sitting on the bed and she's like going like this. She's 4. she's like mock smoking a cigarette. And my wife's like, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm smoking. And we were like, what? And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna smoke when I get older, just so you guys know. And we were like, oh God. And I was like, what? I was like, why are you doing this? And she basically said, oh, like, you know, you smoke like at your birthday. And I was like, oh, great. You know, like, like exactly. You know,
that's a tough look. But it was so different. Not even 30 years ago, you know, people were smoking indoors. I remember visiting my dad's office, and it must have been 1992, 1993. Cubicles, low ceilings. People are smoking in the engineering office. And it's also kind of like growing up in Nevada for me, nostalgic, you know, walking into a casino and smelling people smoking indoors. It's not exactly perfume, but like I don't mind the smell. I used to smoke cigarettes too, and
I think growing up in Reno, cigarette smoke indoors is like part of that's like the smell of your childhood, I would imagine. Well,
because it's also that's the way to the arcade. That's the way to the nice restaurant, right?
Right.
Casino floor on the Solar Legacy. There's a steakhouse there. It smells like cigs. But yeah, cigarette on the birthday sounds awesome. When cigarettes are good, man, they're so good.
I mean, I'm really not that into cigs. Like I'm much more. The cigarettes are like one of my least favorite substances, to be honest. And it's only when I'm drinking or like when I'm, you know, really working hard. Like cigarettes were great for law school and shit like that. But I really don't love them. I'm not like a big nicotine guy. But anyway, the point is they just shape you. That you really shape them. You really shape their attitude and who they are. I mean, I think later on in life, genetics take over. I think that happened to me. I think like I was raised very differently than I turned out. And I think that was because once I was out of the house, your genes kind of your genes catch up. And you don't, that's why it's always like twins, right? Twins raised in totally different environments, usually in the end of the day, end up very similar in their lives. Because I think like later in life, your genes really fire up and it's kind of like, okay, you're kind of going to be who you're going to be. But in those early years, you are such a reflection of your parents. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah. So my older one is my clone, basically.
Yeah, same.
I feel like Forrest Gump, you know, when he comes back from school and has gotten in trouble or something, it's like, is he like me? And he's so much like me that it's, well, I guess it makes it equal parts challenging and easy to raise him. Like I kind of know exactly what his motivations are.
Same exact thing, dude. Like my daughter is so similar to me. My first one, but anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, I mean that's it. So how much can I nurture? What can I prevent them from dealing with? You know, how much shelter do I provide from the outside world versus letting them figure out things on their own? It's kind of a delicate balance, and especially, back to the gentle parenting thing. I want to. It can't be so overt, but I want him to be into doing masculine stuff because he's a boy. Well, both my boys, right? Because you know the demographics of education and the pedagogy right now is just overwhelmingly female.
Yeah, look at this fucking gentle parenting. There's a corporate Memphis gentle parenting like pamphlet. And it's of course in corporate Memphis, which is like the visual language of Globo Homo.
Right.
And even in the picture, key elements of gentle parenting is what we said at the top. And it's some nice dad talking to the boy. Empathy, understanding, healthy boundaries, respect. And the boy, it looks gay. The boy is like making like a gay hand gesture as a what is he, fucking 12? It's like, what the fuck? It's like, this is literally saying gentle parenting turns your kids gay. And that's good. It's like, look at. He's like, I'm just a nice. He's like, I'm just so enchanted by you, Daddy. It's like, who the fuck wants their kid to turn out like that? Although, a lot of the rich, it's amazing how liberals are because there's a genius to their hypocrisy, and it's like all the libtard parks around LA. You wouldn't believe how bad it is. It's all these parents with, protect trans kids shirts with knives on them. And their kids are all named. The new thing among like wealthy white people is naming their kids two names. And one of the two names is like a natural resource. So it's all like, Ava River. And it's like they do that. It's like two words. I'm really trying hard not to say real names that I know. That's why I'm not doing it very well. But it's all like, Smith Lake. And then there will be the last name. That's just the first name. And they make you say both of the names. That's a big thing now. But anyway, like these parents are so ultra liberal and they're constantly signaling their liberalism, but at the same time, they're masters at keeping their kids away from consequences of that ridiculous liberal parenting. They somehow both signal anti-racism all day long, yet magically, through layers of cognitive dissonance and ranking systems, end up sending their kids to schools with all white people. Whereas, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to send my kids to a very good public school. Whereas those white people at the park with, Elliot fucking Dirt, this fucking does so bad. I wish I can't do it right now because I'm trying to not say the real names. But, whatever their fucking names are, they're not going to send their kids to public school. They're going to send their kids to some fucking perfect school that's all white people somehow. And I'm not going to do that. So anyway.
Yeah, it is interesting, okay, everything's an echo chamber when people agree with you. But by the way, in defense of the kid on that infographic, the dad's gay too.
Yes, so, it's the dad and the kid. Everybody's gay. He's making a new gay. This is how to make another gay kid. That's what this is an instruction manual for.
Man, I mean, you're in LA, right?
Yeah, dude. I'm in the thick of it.
It's just crazy what they've done with the place. No, you probably get tired of talking about it, but holy smokes. The absolute cartoon characters that some people are making themselves into, and just the blatant hypocrisy of having the woke merit badge and then sending your kids to private school or something like that. Actually got just a little spat with a friend recently. I think I made some sort of off-color joke, and he's just like, I can't believe you said that about black people. And I was just like, bitch, you live in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
I have black people in my family who I love. Like, don't
Yeah.
talk to me about this.
Totally. Yeah. Well, the Hicklib problem is far worse than anything else. So anyway, to return to what you were saying, you were talking about keeping your boys masculine, but you also seem like you do have some sort of you do also take this seriously from an emotional standpoint. So what's your approach there? Like, what is your personal approach to discipline? How do you do it? First of all, let's just ask simply: do you believe in corporal punishment? Should kids? I mean, not at the age that our kids are, that's really young, but once they get old enough to really fuck you up, should there be hitting? Should you hit your kids? This is a question. I don't know really the answer.
I think it used to work to an extent. I don't think you should hit your kid in anger or drunkenness. This is like already entertaining this is a big no-no, right? And I think from an intellectual perspective, like you should look back to the past or what Thomas Jefferson called our barbarous ancestors. Like, what did they get right? You think about Singapore and you compare Singapore to Los Angeles, and Singapore doesn't have problems with graffiti, vagrancy, littering of human waste and needles. And you should seriously ask yourself, which society is more free and which one employs canings on criminals, right? And that's, again, sort of like the swift hammer of justice. And we're supposed to drop our monocles into our martinis when we hear about something like this. But it doesn't seem that bad because Singapore works, damn it. And there's a lot of things that are degrading in society. So, personal standpoint, I don't want to hit my kids, right? I don't want to have to be put in that position. I think there's maybe another way. If somebody shared with me that they hit their kids for a justified reason, I swear omerta, if you want to share that with me, right?
Yeah.
It's a difficult, thorny question, but I don't know, maybe even I'm being cucked right now by, all these years of propaganda saying it's wrong to hit kids. I think there's data that shows that it doesn't necessarily really work that well for the intended effects.
Right.
Rage.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't face any real beatings of any kind. I got spanked, I think, one time, and a couple times maybe, and I got my mouth washed out with soap once. And I remember them. I mean, I certainly remember them. But yeah, does that help at all? I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would ever beat my kids. I mean, maybe I think I would, like, when you grab them. I one time did grab my daughter kind of hard, like I grabbed her, and it was definitely like, it was the only time I've ever felt like, oh, I actually just like inflicted pain upon her on purpose. And it was weird because I was like, wow, I've never done that. Like I would never want to hurt my daughter at all. But like right then, I literally did. Like I literally like grabbed her in such a way that was like inflicting pain. And after that, I was like, that's weird. Is that like what? Is that corporal punishment? Is that the same thing? I mean, it's not hitting, but it's like, I think we've all done that at some point, right? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess there's like the emergency redirect, right? If they're hurting themselves or about to, or hurting another kid or something like that, like, okay. Forceful action might be required in terms of minor transgressions. I think the ideal way is to redirect it, especially with boys. So I have the privilege right now of assistant coaching my son's flag football team, which is really fun. It's like a good group of guys with the other coaches who know what they're doing. And I volunteered to just be the opportunity to improve, coach. So, talk in the huddle once, you get a warning, you talk again. Come on, we're just going to go for a run. We're going to go for a run with Coach Johnson. And it's discipline, but I don't want to make it seem like punishment. So I think discipline and punishment are distinct categories. And
Right.
punishment's about justice. And like a
Mm-hmm.
kid not eating his vegetables, that's not really being unjust to you. Maybe a little bit to your labor. He doesn't need to be punished for it. He needs to grow the discipline and the understanding he needs. Like, look, you're not going to shit right unless you eat the broccoli.
The difference between, see, but isn't thinking about all this like, it reminds me of the discussion of should there be the death penalty, etc. I think not having the death penalty is a mental disease. I think that it's like when I see people being like this, the entire idea of criminally insane to me is ridiculous. It's patently ridiculous because look, whether or not the point is actually in the end of the day to remove somebody from society, which is, as you're saying, that's more it would be removing somebody's society. Would that be punishment, or what are the two again? There's a difference between punishment and discipline. That would be punishment, right? That would be, well, no, but it's also self-preservation, right? I mean, it's also like necessary. And then the other instinct is, justice, right? And I think our society, being cucked as it is, as that infographic just showed, where dads really do, it's fucking insane. Dads in LA, it's like they want to turn their kids gay. It's so fucking weird. And so it's so cucked, and it's all tied up in this idea of like, oh, retribution for retribution's sake. There's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as justice, right? But it's like, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same, like the instinct to hit your kid when they do something wrong, not that you should, is in a way indistinguishable from the justice element, right? Because it's the same thing. It's like, why even parse it? What's the point of parsing it? Like for me, punishing my daughter, it's something that, yes, my emotional animal self wants to do when she does something bad, right? I want to do it just as a reaction, but also it does serve a purpose. I also want to do it cognitively at the same time. So like, why worry about the difference?
Well, I guess you can get into whole theories of justice based on that. So, when let's just take kids out of the equation, and somebody, 150 years ago has stolen your horse, and you can demand satisfaction. You can duel that guy if you want to, or you can extract a fine from him, get the horse back. Now everything is diffused into a bureaucracy. And nowadays, somebody steals your car, the state takes the fine, and they also pay for his prison internment. And it's just like, well, what do I get out of it? And it's just like, well, you get the satisfaction that this guy's in a cage for 18 months. It's not very satisfactory justice. So when we're talking about bringing justice and peace to your home, it doesn't matter if the rules are arbitrary as long as they're consistent. Just some sort of semblance for your kid that, hey, actions, good and bad, have consequences, and I know how to deal with this. Like, things at home make sense. What a nice gift to give to a child.
True, totally. And those boundaries are consistent, and they have to be followed. So what sort of boundary do you set? Like what kind of discipline? What sort of boundary do you set? And then when they cross the boundary, what is the consequence? In your house.
So, discipline around meal times, bedtime, get ready for school routine. Um, it's basically removing them from a situation if something has been transgressed. So I'm going to recommend to every parent who's listening or watching the next playground. I probably played too much video games as a kid. I'm wearing a stained Zelda shirt right now, as you can see. But one of the things I like about the next playground is it's an interactive AR thing. It's, you're moving your whole body to play the games. And my boys are crazy about it right now. And I'm fine with it because it's kinetic and they're learning stuff. They got in a spat, broke it up. If it happens again, this thing's getting unplugged. Another spat happened. You're a Lord of the Rings fan?
I'm really not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen the movies.
Yeah, there's just a scene at the beginning of the third one where, Schmeagol, who becomes Gollum, and his friend they're fishing. They grapple each other and hands on face, and it just that scene reminds me of my boys when they are in a fight all the time. So break that up, unplug the thing. A little bit of tears was just like, this is what I said was going to happen. And if you help them reliably predict what the near future is going to look like, cause and effect, like that's a good gift. And the next day they can play the stupid video game, right? It's a small example, but
it's taking stuff away, right? That's the best. That's sort of what we do in today's world, right? We take stuff away, we give stuff and take stuff away, right? And you got to just kind of be disciplined in setting up what the things are going to be that you give and what the things are going to be that you take away, right? I mean, that's true. That's true. Okay. Anything else?
What else do you want to talk about?
No. I mean, anything else that you do, like any other tactics that parents should know.
But keeping them on schedule, right? We've got a list for the morning, a little pictogram of here's the shit you need to get ready. When you do that, you have more time to play. It's been intermittently and then very successful, giving them the gift of a consistent bedtime and carrots along with that bedtime, which are, hey, we get to read a book together. Mm-hmm. When I'm home, when I'm not on the road, we do wrestling, right? Flip the kids around, throw them on the bed, play games. That rough and tumble physical play is apparently, rubber stamped by psychology. That's a good thing for dad to be the physical teaching parent. Helps the boys build confidence. Although, but my son at first didn't understand the difference between flag football and tackle football. Yeah. And at practice the other day, he just blasted a kid. And I had to explain the difference to him, but I was secretly proud of my nighttime wrestling endeavor.
Yeah, that's good, man. I can't imagine. I mean, the girls like to wrestle too, but it's not. I'm sure it's nothing near what the boys. I've heard boys are really crazy.
Yeah,
like they're really.
They stomp on my back.
Yeah.
Getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Okay, so what do you think, like, do you think that we're going to get, to me, you talk about this time period being a historical aberration, and, obviously we're at the weakest time ever, right? I don't think there's ever been a weaker society in terms of day-to-day people, day-to-day life. Never have people been more protected from consequences or violence. There's no war for most people. You can't even touch anybody without going to jail in today's world, right? We're so soft. People are as soft as they're probably ever going to get. So do you think that that's just going to continue forward, or are are weak men going to make the hard times that we've been waiting for?
I think we're in them, and I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but I can't help but think of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine, and we're already living in the world of the Eloi and Morlocks.
What is that? What do you mean?
What's that?
What do you, I mean, I know what they are, but explain, why are we living in a world of Eloi and Morlocks?
Yeah, so for folks who haven't seen it or even seen the movie from the 70s isn't bad, and the Guy Pearce remake.
The Guy Pearce remake is actually good.
Yeah,
the Guy Pearce, that's like an underrated movie that for some reason people don't see.
That bro has an absolute toaster of a jaw.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the time machine guy ends up, I think, 10,000 years in the future, something like that. And there's a frail, elf-like, surface-dwelling, hippie commune community of, children of the sun, flower power kind of thing. And then deep underground is a subterranean, ghoulish, muscular Neanderthal race called the Morlocks. And these civilizations are at odds with one another, and this time traveler, it's almost like Idiocracy, right? Idiocracy is kind of a retelling of this, where just an average guy has to come back and set things right because of how radically disparate things have gotten.
Right.
So I don't know if we're heading towards Wall-E people or Matrix Ghost in the Machine type of stuff. You can spin yourself out thinking about the implications of our present day weakness and who benefits. But I remain, I suppose, blindly optimistic that a shoe's going to turn, and at least somewhere geographically, people are going to reassert their own dignity and maybe traditional roles, traditional masculinity. I think that's maybe one of the reasons why people on the right admire Russia, because one, Russians look like us, and two, like, it's a very macho society. That might be a bit of a controversial statement, but it's just an observation from my standpoint, not an endorsement one way or the other.
I get the sense that we are never going to be this bad. I mean, it's already, somebody should have taken over America. It's a symbol of, it's funny. The tweet that has most been sticking with me in recent times is this tweet where somebody was like, somebody asked, why is suddenly there nationalist protests like everywhere? And the temptation is to say, whoa, hey, there's the kids.
Skeleton mask.
All good. All right, we'll get you out of here in a second.
Oh,
there he is. We got the kids. What's up, kid? Where's your skeleton mask?
He's running away.
So the temptation is to say, oh, it's because the global, global corporatocracy has taken over everything, and it's just a natural reaction. The nationalism is the sort of reaction, right, to that, and that's true. But this tweet was saying no, or it didn't say no, but it was saying the reason why that's happening is that American culture is global culture. So we have MAGA here, and so now there's MAGA everywhere, right? And so I think that it's a function of our deep femininity, our deep total subservience to women, that we've exported like feminized technocratic peace, right? So that everybody around the world is now like, we don't do war either. Nobody does war. We don't do war. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
One of my great friends, he's a very smart dude, and he works at the Pentagon, and he's a career patriot, very smart, capable, and politics aside, his understanding of the history of the post-World War II consensus is, we culturally castrated the Germans and Japanese.
Yeah.
And you look at their societies too. And it's kind of funny, right? Because you look at Bruno or the anime boy, and it's just like, oh man, maybe we went too far.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, but I mean, even those were, even Japanese and German chauvinism, those were a reaction to liberalism in a lot of ways. You know, it's like they were kind of a reaction to this endlessly feminizing Leviathan that, here goes my camera again, that was, I guess, born in America and has spread across the world, you know, and is seemingly completely uncontrollable. But anyway, in my perspective is, we're like, we've been building up this war for fucking ever. And when the dam breaks, the dam is going to break like real hard. And we are going to, everything will go back to everybody suddenly remembering and understanding what men are for. You know, I mean, like why we're here and that it's actually necessary. That's where I think we're headed. We're headed towards the Great War, and it's going to come one day, and we're not going to be, it's just going to be one day we're living like we are right now, and the next day we're fucking it. That's what I think. But
hey man, that sounds better than a laptop job some days.
I totally agree. I'm like, fucking bring it on, man. If I die without the Great War happening, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just like, let's fucking go. Let's go. I mean, It's gonna suck. I say this as such a naive piece of shit. It's like, well, I'm sure people who've actually been in war are gonna be like, you do not want that, right? And I'm sure that that's true. But at the same time, you know, I want to see it. I want to see it before I'm done. Anyway, all right. Really quick, show your book, and then I'll get you out of here.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, I appreciate that opportunity. So the cover artist did a beautiful job with this. So Pandemonia, one of the interests we didn't get to talking to is my interest in conspiracy theories and reinterpreting conspiracies as modern day legends. And so I kind of threw every conspiracy in the book into a narrative about COVID, frankly, and just how dumb it all was, right? How, you're a propagandist, and the COVID stuff was the biggest propaganda campaign in human history. And rather than, argue facts and reasons, like, why not just put a narrative together about this? So it turned out funny. My wife said it's like reading a Naked Gun movie. The reviews are overwhelmingly positive on Amazon. I had a blast writing it. And it's something that, when my boys are teenagers and they ask about 2020, it's just like, here's something that's a little bit easier to ascertain than the Twitter wars or Alex Berenson's book or something like that. Narratives are a lot more fun than facts, figures, and finger pointing.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Well, I will put a link in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining. I'll let you get to your kids. And stay in touch, man.
I appreciate it, Isaac. This was a blast, man. Thank you.
Of course. Peace.